tensions between bordering countries in Eastern Europe are turning volatile. Thousands of migrants are stuck at the border between Belarus and Poland in freezing and poor conditions that have already killed at least 8 people. Migrants from the Middle East and Asia are trying to cross into Poland to get further into Europe. But they're stuck in Belarus after authorities closed the crossing earlier this week. Polish authorities are pushing back some of those who've crossed, saying there have been large-scale efforts by migrants to breach the border fences. Belarus's ally Russia is touting its military strength to show its support for the country. This comes as Russia has been gathering thousands of its troops along the border with Ukraine. For more on all of this, I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Christina Ruffini. Hi, Christina. Boy, it sounds like the situation is getting complicated, but let's focus in and start with the situation in Belarus. There are thousands of migrants currently at the Belarus-Poland border trying to cross into Poland. They're being kept in what's being described as dire conditions. Government leaders in Poland and other neighboring countries like Latvia and Lithuania are accusing Belarus of manufacturing this migrant crisis. So can you give us some background as to why this is happening and what Poland is exactly accusing Belarus of doing?
I mean, look, first of all, there's a reason that no one has ever been very successful trying to invade Russia from Europe. It's because it's really, really cold, especially at this time of year. So you've got these freezing, literally freezing conditions. The BBC reported earlier this week they've already found 9 of these migrants dead in the woods trying to get across this crossing. This goes back to last year when there was this contested election in Belarus, right? The Belarusian strongman, Alexander Lukashenko, has said he's the last dictator in Europe. Actually visited Minsk with Secretary Pompeo a couple years ago, and Pompeo met with him, and he said, in Russian, you know, I'm a hardworking dictator because I came in here on a Saturday. And I actually made people translate it multiple times because I didn't realize he still referred to himself as the last dictator in Europe. And as part of that, it looked like he could possibly lose this election last year. So there was all kinds of election interference. It was greatly contested by the international community, by election watchers. And there was a subsequent crackdown on democratic activists. There were mass protests like we haven't really seen in that country in decades. And they were arrested. And it's been a consistent crackdown on democracy, on journalists, on anybody who's trying to fight for, they believe, you know, the rightful president or freedom of speech, freedom of democracy, freedom of assembly, any of these rights. So the result is the European Union has been increasingly sanctioning Belarus, trying to get Lukashenko to change this behavior. After the latest round of sanctions, all of a sudden, all these migrants started coming through Belarus and being pushed towards the border, especially the border with Poland. The accusation from the EU is that they're being lured there by Lukashenko. They're getting on charters or Belarusian airline flights being flown into Minsk and then being told, hey, this is your chance to go to the EU. The EU is that way. Let's go, and being pushed over the border into Poland. Poland is saying, we can't take all these migrants and we're not going to bow to this kind of pressure. So they're stopping the migrants at the border. And what no one is really considering in this political fight here is that there are real human beings stuck in between competing political interests who are freezing and starving and don't have anywhere to go in the middle of the woods in Eastern Europe in winter. And it's a terrible, terrible humanitarian situation. And it's frankly pretty shocking that this is happening in the middle of Europe.
So who is responsible here? Because humanitarian groups are accusing Polish authorities of breaking international asylum rights by refusing some of these refugees. You know, where does the buck stop here? And what are the international rules about all of this?
Well, the EU, you know, Poland is an EU member, but it's a prickly EU member. You know, its President Duda has not been the best with human rights. He's not been the best with even political freedom in his country, and they were already kind of on the ropes from other EU members saying they weren't holding up their end of EU regulations, of EU ideals. And now you've got this crisis where Poland is saying, we're not going to take these people. This is not our problem. The EU has rules about asylum. They're international rules. If you cross over, you should be able to apply for asylum. But this has all happened kind of so quickly that it's still being unscrambled. Like the EU minister said this week, if this continues, they're going to put more sanctions on Belarus. That then prompted Belarus and Lukashenko to say, fine, you want to put more sanctions on us? We're going to turn off your gas, because a lot of the Russian pipelines go through Belarus, and about 33% of Europe's natural gas energy comes from Russia. The other factor is Russia. Right. President Putin is Lukashenko's last ally, right? So he wouldn't be able to say that without Putin's backing. The other part of this is Putin has really lost his little buffer zone, right? Because if you think about the neighbors of Belarus, you've got Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland. Those are all Western-looking EU countries. The one remaining kind of Russian-looking country, although Lukashenko has played at both sides for the past couple years, is Belarus. So Putin is trying to hold on to his strategic point there in Europe. And this comes amid tensions in Ukraine and energy crisis. And, you know, there's a lot of different levers to pull here. And it's a bit of a flashpoint. And the EU is scrambling to kind of see how to respond. Now, the Ukrainian foreign minister was in D.C. yesterday and met with Secretary Blinken. Secretary Blinken was asked about this at a press conference, and he said, you know, it's very concerning if Belarus has essentially weaponized migration. And that's kind of what we're seeing. These people are being used as political weapons to make a point with very little thought or reason to the humanitarian impact of this on these humans who are just trying to escape a bad situation and get a better life in Europe.
Christina Ruffini, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.